Antoinette Peterson is still coming to terms with her terrible loss as a schoolgirl in the 1970s. Look at her screaming grief. It's June 1976, and her 13-year-old brother Hector has just been shot and killed by the police, first victim of the Soweto uprising. This museum of apartheid in Soweto is named in Hector Peterson's honour. Schoolchildren learn their violent and divided history here. For several years, Hector's sister Antoinette chose to be one of the guides, to confront her own past every day and her grief, after years trying to bury it, failing to face it. She says Nelson Mandela inspired her to change.
I never thought I would talk about what happened on the 16th of June, really. I never thought, because every time I spoke about it, I just become traumatized, confused. So I said, but Mandela went to prison for 27 years and he kept on going. Why can't I do the same?
Next, the story of Herman Bailey. I met him in 2004. In the Cape Winelands, the Mayor of Wellington is showing some of the riches of South Africa to the Japanese ambassador, drumming up business for the non-racial rainbow nation which Nelson Mandela did so much to create. Under apartheid, Herman, then classified as Cape-coloured, could never have been mayor of a wealthy town ruled by the white minority.
Well, I think it's the values of the man, Nelson Mandela. To have been incarcerated all those years and to come out, and in his very first speech he said, let bygones be bygones. I think no South African who was at the time very influenced by the then government could have believed that this is the words of somebody who's been incarcerated for so long.
Now meet Chris Wessels, another prisoner of apartheid. This is Genadendal, or the Valley of Grace, further east in the Cape. Back in 1738, it was the first Christian mission station in South Africa. Much more recently, this is a community which resisted apartheid, causing Nelson Mandela to name his Cape Town home after the village. Chris Wessels was pastor of the church here. He was imprisoned in the 1970s for daring to oppose white supremacy. 69 days in solitary confinement almost killed him. Nelson Mandela's example kept him going.
I just got the feeling that I would never come out alive. Sitting there with my thoughts, I thought, I wonder what Nelson Mandela was doing at that time. Having been there for so many years, separated from his family, how he could endure such torture, to be separated from the community for so many years. Here I sat for only a few months, and yet it was so hard, it was so difficult. It was practically unbearable, and that gave me strength.
Hedwig van der Merwe is our last witness to Nelson Mandela's greatness.
If you feel uncomfortable or you have done something that...
Hedwig is a school teacher who used to believe Nelson Mandela was a terrorist, to be feared, not admired. Hedwig van der Merwe's pupils were exclusively white until the mid-1990s. Now she rejoices in the change to multiracial education. But back then, she was really scared when Nelson Mandela was freed from prison.
Was it going to be safe for white South Africans? Will we be able to move around the way we used to? Are we now going to be thrown into jail because we're white? He started talking and sort of reassured people that this country is now going to work together. And there's never, ever going to be a thing like apartheid in South Africa. That set our minds at rest.